Before starting the video, please subscribe. I am very close to 800 subs, so help me achieve it now. Let's begin the video. Solo leveling universe. Earth. A cafe in Korea. At one table, a middle-aged man sat across from a black-haired teenager who was eating a cup of ice cream indifferently, but his left hand was covered in bandages. "Can you repeat yourself?" the boy asked in a detached voice, his eyes glowing in violet. The man shivered in horror, sensing the dangerous aura emanating from the boy. "Almighty Monarch, you need to understand that if you continue to stay in this world, it will be destroyed," the man said respectfully, yet fearfully, hoping that the boy, or Shadow Monarch, would understand the situation. The boy stopped eating his ice cream and put the cup on the table before looking at the man. "Why?" "Because your power is too strong for this world to handle," the man explained. The boy said nothing, already aware of this fact. "Listen, you need to know that if you stay here, not only this world but the whole universe will be in danger," the man continued. "If you decide to leave this world, we promise to protect it for you and send you to another Earth similar to this one or another universe where you can live without worries," the man suggested to the boy. "Give me time to think," the boy said as he stood up and started to move toward the road. "Fine," the man agreed as he also stood up and snapped his fingers. A strange barrier that was present around them disappeared. Seeing the other party leave, he couldn't help but sigh. After all, that boy had sacrificed many things for his family and for this world. If somebody suddenly asked him to leave everything he had saved, he didn't want to imagine what kind of emotions he must be feeling right now. He paid the bill and left the area too. Waving his hand, he approached an empty area of ground when all of a sudden, a portal formed in the space in front of him. As he entered the portal, his appearance started to change. His whole body began to be covered in brilliant light that now looked like armor, and 4 wings emerged from his back. "Did the Shadow Monarch agree to our proposal?" Suddenly someone's voice came into his ears. "He asked for time to think," he replied, looking straight to where the voice came from. You did a good job," the voice praised him. That person knew that it wasn't easy to propose to the most powerful person alive in all the multiverse. "Thank you, my lord," he bowed his head to the voice. "Now go and rest until he sends his reply," the voice ordered him. "As you wish, my lord," he saluted the voice, sighing in his heart. After a week. "Mom, I am going out for a bit," the boy said as he tied his shoelaces. "Jean, be careful on the roads," a gentle-looking middle-aged woman said as she looked at her son from the kitchen. /N Jean is used instead of the original name since Korean names are difficult to handle. "You worry too much. Jean is grown up now, right, son?" the middle-aged man sitting on the sofa said while reading the newspaper. Jean nodded his head towards his dad, appreciating him for taking his side. "I know. It's just," Jin's mom said as she looked towards her boy, who looked a little different from usual. Clearing her thoughts, she looked towards her husband and said, "Never mind, but your daughter should learn from Jean. She is still sleeping even though it's nearly afternoon." Meanwhile, Jean was ready to go. He moved towards the door. Jean opened the door and took a long look at his family. He knew this might be the last time he saw them. "Goodbye," he said softly, closing the door behind him. Jean found himself standing in an empty field where the man had vanished before. "I'm ready," he said in a powerful yet emotionless voice. His eyes started glowing violet, and his body emanated a black aura. Portal appeared in front of him. "Come in, Almighty Monarch," a respectful voice echoed from the portal. Jean stepped into the portal and found himself in a beautiful white castle in a pure white dimension. The place looked like a haven. "I agree, but I have 2 conditions, rulers," Jean spoke, looking towards 5 figures in front of him. "What are those conditions, Almighty Monarch?" one of them asked. "First, I need a tool to make everyone forget about my existence," Jean said, which puzzled everyone. "Almighty Monarch, are you sure about it?" another one asked, looking at Jean in disbelief. Jean nodded his head, deep in thought. "Can we ask for your reason?" someone else asked, curious about his strange request. No, Jean refused in an emotionless tone. Hearing his tone, they all sighed since they knew they didn't have the strength to make him reveal his reasons. What's your second condition? The first one asked. Jean opened his mouth to speak. I need an abandoned planet in a universe that can hold my power. Why abandoned? We can send you to a similar world to this, but that world is filled with powers and different races, someone else said, confused by his choice. My choice, Jean replied in a cold voice, shutting them up. They all looked at each other, making their discussion. After a while, they nodded their heads one by one. All right, Almighty Monarch, we can agree to both your conditions, the first one spoke. Suddenly pressure appears on all of them, making them bend on their knees. They only look up to see that the boy is now covered in pure darkness, staring right at them with his glowing violet eyes. They all started to shiver at his stare. They could only look down, avoiding looking at his eyes. Listen, if in my absence anything happened to this world, then you better be prepared for consequences, because I am not soft-hearted like Ashbourne. Jean speaks in a chilling tone, making them tremble in fear. Don't worry, Almighty Monarch. Not only this world but this whole universe will be protected by all the rulers in multiverse, one of them speaks in a shuddering voice. Jean looked at them for a while, then he released his pressure from them. His body also became back to normal, but his sharp eyes didn't leave the rulers even for a second. Ha. Ha, ha. Ha, ha, ha. Ah, ha, ha, ha. Ha. All of them are sweating and breathing heavily as they slowly tried to stand up with their trembling legs. After calming down, they make their way inside the castle. Inside are well-decorated, beautiful fountains, plants, and art placed inside the castle. Inside the castle, many rulers are looking at them, specifically at him. Some with awe, some with fear, some with respect, and some with gratitude. They come to the center of the castle, which was an open area. In between, there is some kind of big mechanism placed. Jean stood in between that circular mechanism. Suddenly one of the rulers handed him one big crystal. Almighty Monarch, make the wish you wanted and then break the crystal. The ruler who handed him the crystal said this while looking towards him. Jean nodded his head as he closed his eyes, then smashed the crystal into pieces, and the pieces turned into light, penetrating the white sky. Jean opened his eyes looking at the sky with some emotion in it. Your wish is granted, Almighty Monarch. Now can you stand in the middle of the tool? The ruler said this as he stepped back towards the other four rulers. Jean quietly stood in between the tool, as the ruler looks towards him and starts speaking. Almighty Monarch, remember, even though other monarchs are dead, there are more unknown dangerous creatures present in the multiverse. Remember to be careful. Also, there are rulers present in that universe. If you need anything, then you can ask them, even though they may not be as powerful as us, but I am sure they will be able to fulfill any request. Jean nodded his head, and as he comes into the center, meanwhile rulers used some projections to adjust the location. Everything is ready, Almighty Monarch, now we will start the process. As particles began to emerge from the tool, covering Jean completely. Goodbye, Shadow Monarch, rulers bid farewell together, seeing Jean slowly disappear in particles. In some other universe. On some deserted planet, there are many broken structures on the surface of the land. Meanwhile, the sky is full of bright stars and other planets, making it a beautiful scenery. Suddenly light illuminated the surface of the land, revealing a black-haired teenager. This teenager is none other than Jean, who just teleported here. He checks his surroundings, then he looked towards the sky, which makes his eyes a little wide open as he unconsciously muttered, beautiful. Seeing the space filled with countless stars and visible beautiful planets, he couldn't help but praise the beauty. /n picture I took for reference. Then he looked at his surroundings, which are filled with countless broken structures, and said, come out. As he said that, his shadow started to spread at unimaginable speed. And countless shadow monsters started to emerge from it. Respectfully kneeling on the ground towards their king from behind. All of them have one thing in common, glowing violet eyes and light purple skin. In front of Jean, 3 figures are kneeling in front of him. Baru, Igris, and Belian, this is going to be our home from now on. So Baru and Belian search this entire land for a nice place and build a home, Jean said as he looks towards the 3 generals of his army. As your wish, my liege, 2 of 3 replied in union as 2 of them flew away while Igris stood beside Jean. All the remaining army of Shadow distributes between Baru and Belian. Jean then looks towards Igris as he speaks, Igris, let's spar, I don't want to get rusty. As you wish, my liege, Igris said as he comes respectfully opposite Jean with a long sword in his hand. Igris is a large knight with a light purple glow, jet black covering him from head to toe, a tattered black cape, and a long red hair-like ornament extending out of the back of his helmet. Attack as you like, Jean said. This is suddenly a dagger in his hands. After 1 week. Jean looked at the enormous castle in front of him with a tired expression on his face. This enormous castle exactly looks like a castle in the ruler's dimension, but it's black in color, which gives the vibes of some horror movie. Baru explained this in this instant, Jean said in a heavy tone as his powerful aura started to leak from his body. Of course, my liege, this is the only home worthy of you. Baru comes in front of Jean at super high speed and says in excitement with stars in his eyes. Baru is a huge humanoid shadow ant with a light purple glow, neon eyes, sharp claws, and smoky wings. Looking at his fan guy, Jean massages his forehead as he looked at Baru with a helpless expression as he asked, why does this home exactly look like that castle in the ruler's dimension? Because that's the only home which is worthy of you, my liege, Baru replied in an innocent tone like it was an obvious thing. Sigh, forget it, Belian, did you find anything? Jean releases a tired sigh as he looks at his 3rd general and asks this. Belian is a huge humanoid, shadow warrior with 2 pairs of black wings on his back, jagged black armor, blank white eyes, and glowing purple skin. He also carries a massive blade that looks like a centipede, which he wields both like a whip and a sword. Nothing, my liege, there is nothing except broken structures, he comes forward as he speaks. Jean nodded his head as he looked back at the castle with a helpless expression and entered the castle. Meanwhile his whole army started to return to his shadow. He enters the main hall to see a black throne on top of the stairway. He quietly climbs up and sits on the throne. I wonder what they are doing at this time. He muttered this while looking upwards with a somewhat lost expression on his face. 700 years later. DxD World. Underworld. Graia, POV. It was a terrible fight, but somehow we managed to win. I am tired of this war. I staggered on the battlefield, leaving behind cold corpses of members of my same race, a devil. But these devils are different from me, they are from the old Satan faction. The war between angels, fallen angels, and devils finished long ago, but now that Satans have perished, it is time for a new ruling to take place, one that will place us, devils, in a more peaceful environment. Why can't we all live peacefully in the underworld? Are we still going to continue thriving in famine and hunger, just like the one who created us? That's why I, Graia Lucifuge, decided to follow Sirzek Gremry's cause and fight for a prosperous future. Sadly, there are those devils who counter our ideals, those that believe we should still fight angels and fallen angels even after our race has already suffered enough, the old Satan faction. We fight, we kill, and we suffer in the end. It's only the bloodshed on the ground. When is this conflict going to end? It's already been hundreds of years. When will this civil war stop? How many more innocent lives will have to be sacrificed in this war? I thought about this thoroughly as I held my bleeding wound. Do you desire to save your devil race from this war? If so, then complete my mission, and I will make sure that your race survives this war and becomes prosperous. Save my kind from the war? Of course, I want, but what is this screen? Could it be some trap from enemies? She summarizes all the possibilities of this. Maybe something like this is created by some simple magic to lure me into some trap. Most devils knew that I was one of the new faction's main aces, an ultimate class devil with Sirzek, Falbium, Ajuka, and Serafal. And I was one of their primary objectives. However, as our house, Lucifuge, was the most despicable traitors in the eyes of the devils. maybe there is a quicker path? One with less bloodshed, but who exactly are you? If you can be so confident to end this war and help my race, then what do you need my help for? You should be more than capable than me to complete your task. I doubted this in my mind. Only the fact that I couldn't sense any demonic power from it makes me a little bit relieved. Your doubts are comprehensible, Graia Lucifuge. First, I don't belong to your inferior world. I am currently an avatar of my supreme self and an existence that is more than capable to end your predicament with the snap of my fingers. However, the task I have is not something I can do myself. That's why I have to choose someone to do it for me. I could have chosen any lady in this entire universe, and you are that lucky any lady. I feel heavily insulted and underestimated, this person telling me that I am not anything special. He or she speaks as if I, an ultimate class devil, am nothing but lucky enough to be chosen for whatever his or her plot is. You are free to reject me if you don't believe me. I will just choose another candidate for this task. I admit the task I am going to issue is not an easy one, but if you somehow manage to accomplish it, then it will be a lucky encounter beyond your wildest imagination. Can I think about it? I at least wanted to discuss this with my father. After all, this could be a trap. No, as I said, you are not special. If you reject, there wouldn't be a second chance. Make your decision now. Twitching my lips, I allowed my body to fall down on my knees, holding my wound and panting heavily. I wanted nothing more than to rest and wait for the next battle, but, now the more I looked at this screen, the more my sense screamed at me that this is real. I bit my lips, falling into the pit of mud that has blood mixed in it, seeing the screen in front of my face with complicated feelings. To me, that yes looked brighter than the no. Will you promise me that, to uphold your words if I manage to complete the task? If I could stop this madness, if I could stop my family from being in danger, then I would do it. Believe me, my words are very valuable than my very own existence that I precede. The moment you press the yes, I will send you to the place where you can undertake your task, away from home. My eyebrows quivered, I am going to be taken away from my place. But at the same time I will continue the continuity of time in this lowly realm until your return. If you fail, but survive, I shall bring you to this same spot. I couldn't help but pay more attention to the word survive. If you die, then I shall just resume time and your absence will be the only change in this timeline, as well as your race will lose the war. If you succeed, then I shall return you to this realm once again, to the future where I uphold my promise, to a future where your devil race is at peace and prosperous according to our accord. Reading the text, I sigh out of relief. At the very least, it won't take too long to complete this task. I was afraid that my absence would bring a disadvantage to the new faction, but the entity's words assured me. My mind is full of curiosity towards this entity that can stop time at its will. And what is this so-called task that I needed to complete but can't? I made my decision and pressed the button yes, bracing for anything at any moment, bracing for any torture that I would have to go through. A great answer indeed, Graia Lucifuge. You can address me as System, your temporary assistance in this quest. As for who I am someone powerful enough to achieve your dream. I bid you the greatest of success, because in this task it is not luck that shall bring you glory, but your determination. I felt the world around me begin to shake. The underworld around me broke like glass into little pieces until everything was white. I never felt like I moved even a millimeter from the puddle of mud and blood I had fallen into. It's like the world where I lived stopped being the same world. Loading. Assimilation with System complete. Welcome to System, Graia Lucifuge. The world around me is still white as the screen kept updating itself. I am now confused about what's going on. Transportation to Ashenfall Realm, Planet Voltron, completed. Requirements for sustainable life in arrival location not met. Loading racial specifications. Configuration racial traits for survival in the foreign atmosphere and outer space. Pure Devil, Ultimate Class, Peak Devil, Ultimate Class. The more the screen was updated, the more my confusion increased. Just who is this existence, a god? I felt something covering my whole body, something changed, and I didn't know what it is. You are not that person from before, I thought inwardly to the system. I am the system, your direct connection with that entity. As for who is the previous being, I am afraid I don't have the authority to disclose that. I release a tired sigh inwardly. I guess it's useless to ask who that was since that entity doesn't want to be exposed, then I can't do anything. When I open my eyes again, there are brilliant countless stars in the sky with a bunch of other planets visible from the land where I am standing. I was mesmerized by the beautiful scenery in front of me for a while. I looked around to find just sand and broken structures on this land. Where am I? I said this out loud after feeling frustrated about finding nothing but sand. System, I thought this, hoping the system could help me. Loading stats. Name, Graia Lucifuge. Gender, female. Titles, Traitorous Devil, Ice Queen. Age, 118 years old. Race, Pure Devil, Peak Devil. Evolution, Ultimate Class, 2nd Tier. Strength, E+. Magic Power, D-. Shadow Monarch Affection, 0%. Seeing the stats, I should have been in awe if not for the fact that the system categorized my strength as E+ and magic as D-. What does Shadow Monarch Affection mean? Welcome to the isolated planet Voltron in the realm of Ashenfall. This is the place where your target is located. Hey! Answer me. What does Shadow Monarch Affection mean? I waited expectantly, dusting off my clothes, a maid's attire. The faster I know, the faster I can save my race. Task, conquer the Shadow Monarch's heart and erase his loneliness, progress 0%. Subtask, find Shadow Monarch in Voltron planet in the Ashenfall realm and introduce yourself. Shadow Monarch? Conquer his heart. The more I read, the more I feel how ridiculous this so-called task is. It turns out this task is not to kill someone or destroy a town or do any dangerous thing. But the task has to be romantically involved with someone. Hey! I didn't sign up for this. You set me up. I scream inwardly in outrage, hoping for that entity to answer me. No matter how I look at this, I was set up by that entity. In fact, I started to believe that entity was nothing more than some perverted person. That is correct, the Shadow Monarch is one of the 9 monarchs who can be also called the strongest being alive in all multiverse. His power is so immersed that even if all the forces united against him, the result will be difficult to predict, hence you need to conquer his heart. Gulp. I unconsciously swallow my saliva hearing the task target is the strongest being in the multiverse. What the strongest being in the multiverse, there must be some other way, conquering him, and how am I supposed to find him in just a large place? I am no expert in romance, aside from some moments I shared with Surzette Gremory, I am completely clueless. How the hell am I supposed to conquer the heart of the strongest being in the multiverse? There is no other way, the only weakness of a Shadow Monarch is loneliness. As for finding him, I have given you that advantage to roam freely around in outer space, search for him here, that is your first task. I fell on my knees after hearing the system. I don't know what to do. The future of the devil race depends on whether I can conquer the monarch's heart or not. What have I gotten myself into? Mama, help me. I don't know what to do. The weight of the responsibility on my shoulders is immense. I bit my lips, gathering all the strength in my body, and tried to stand up. As I tried to walk, my feet struck in the sand, trying to sink into it. My 4 wings popped out of my back, flying me into the air as I broke free from the sand. By the way, system, what is a monarch anyway? I asked this inwardly, driven by my strong curiosity about the enigmatic figure. The monarchs are an ancient race of monsters who seek to wipe out all living beings from the multiverse. I wiped away the cold sweat from my forehead. If their goal is to wipe out all living beings, then not only the devil race, but all races are in danger. And what's the system previously said? There are 9 of these. You are correct, there are indeed 9 monarchs. The monarch of destruction, the king of dragons. The monarch of shadows, the king of the dead. The monarch of white flames, the king of demons. The monarch of fawn beasts, the king of beasts. Frost monarch, the king of snow folk. Iron body monarch, the king of monstrous humanoids. The monarch of the beginning, the king of giants. The monarch of plagues, the queen of insects. The monarch of transfiguration, the king of demonic specters. Each of them possesses immense power like none other, and every other monarch except the Shadow Monarch worked for the monarch of destruction, the king of dragons, who also possesses the most destructive power of all. But you said it is the Shadow Monarch who is the most powerful one. Why doesn't the Shadow Monarch work for the monarch of destruction like others? I don't know the story behind this, but I feel this Shadow Monarch has a kind of backstory. And the king of dragons, is he a similar kind of mythical creature like the Great Red and Ophis, the Infinity Dragon? Don't compare the monarch of destruction to those inferior lizards from your inferior realm. His mere breath is enough to destroy your whole planet. Are you serious? I unconsciously shouted. If that's true, then it's only a matter of time before my world gets destroyed. Yes, but you don't need to worry about getting your home destroyed by the monarch of destruction or any other monarchs, because all the other monarchs were killed by the Shadow Monarch. I released a sigh of relief. But why would he do that, and how can he kill the monarch of destruction? My curiosity towards this Shadow Monarch is only getting stronger. The Shadow Monarch rules over death, he has his immortal army at his disposal. The longer the battle, the stronger he gets. His power has no bounds. Power over death, something similar to Hades of Hell? I thought of that skeletal god. Wait, if the Shadow Monarch has a similar appearance to that skeleton, then what will I do? Shouldn't that mean I have to seduce a skeleton? I felt a wave of revulsion wash over me at the thought. The idea of having to seduce a skeleton, even if it is a powerful being, is repulsive. My skin crawls at the mere thought of it. I release a disgusted sigh, trying to shake off the image from my mind. I can't help but wonder, why would anyone choose to rule over death and have such a horrific appearance? The more I think about it, the more unsettling the idea becomes. My curiosity may be strong, but I can't deny the feeling of dread that settles in the pit of my stomach. But now, I just hope for the best. Your thoughts are useless, your main priority should be to locate the Shadow Monarch first. Useless thoughts? At least I want him to be good-looking and alive. I quickly turned towards the ground as I felt something. Why do I feel like someone is watching me? My instincts have never betrayed me before. Because of that, I survived countless battles. That's also the reason I trust my instincts so much. You are safe for now. If any danger approaches, then I will notify you beforehand. But I was sure someone was watching. Maybe because I am not in the underworld, that's why I feel unsafe. Sigh, I should focus on my task. After 15 minutes of flying. What the hell is this? I couldn't help but say this out loud because what I am seeing right now looks like an enormous, scary black castle. Congratulations, you managed to locate the base of the Shadow Monarch. Yeah. I can figure that much out myself. Here goes nothing. I entered the castle, which somehow opened. There is nothing inside, just large empty spaces. How can someone live in a place like this? The whole place gives off a depressing atmosphere. I walked straight through the hallway and entered a big hall. Who are you? I heard someone's voice as I looked towards the source of the voice. How handsome. I looked up at the person who is sitting on a throne with a lazy posture. He is not handsome, but he is devilishly handsome. His angelic sharp face, his purple glowing sharp eyes, his sharp nose, his expression is like an aloof being who looks down on the world. His pure black hair looks, his fair skin, what is this? Why do I feel danger? I quickly turn around to see my shadow expanding. A monster emerges from my shadow, which looks exactly like a big ant, twice my size. His claws are as big as swords. I will die. My instinct is screaming at me, telling me to run as far as possible. But my legs are trembling, not moving. Move. 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 I try to move, but instead of moving, my knees give up, and I fall down. Why? Why don't they move? I already know the answer. My body already knows it's useless to run from this thing. Fight back? No, I can't win, no matter how I fight. Is this the end? But I haven't still saved my people, help me. I don't want to die. Gene POV. After coming to this planet, I found not only this planet but this whole realm has no living creatures. I don't know how much time has passed since I came to this place. I found nothing except silence. Luckily for me, I have my companions to accompany me. I don't know how much time has passed, is it 100 years, or 300 years, or maybe 500 years? Damn it, I lost track of time. To pass the time, I usually fight my shadow soldiers and learn sword techniques from Igris and martial arts from Belian. I don't want to depend entirely on Ashborn powers all the time, so I mastered all techniques a human can master. The good thing is there is no one, so I can practice without any problem, but one thing that I can't fix is the loneliness of being all alone. I miss you, mother, father, sister. I miss you all very much. There isn't even a single day where I haven't thought about you all. Until today, I thought I would live here in seclusion for the rest of eternity. But unexpectedly today, in this lonely realm, I sense a living creature. After so long, at first, I thought my senses had become dull after living so alone without seeing any living person. But now, seeing the person right in front of me with my own eyes, I am sure this is a living person, not some illusion made up by my mind. How did she get here? Not only on this planet but in this whole realm, it should be impossible for any living creature to survive in this atmosphere. I guess it doesn't matter for now, at least, I got to know someone alive. Baru, stop. I was lost in my thoughts so much that I forgot to notice that Baru has scared that girl so much that she has fallen down on her knees. I guess I need to educate Baru about not scaring guests. After hearing my command, he quickly returns to my shadow, but the girl is still sitting on the ground. Why is she wearing a maid outfit? Is this some kind of custom here in this universe? Wait, did she wet herself? Maybe she got too scared by Baru. I can see her tears flowing down her eyes. It's okay now. Shouldn't I speak some words to comfort her at times like these? I don't know what to say, I did that before. She slowly opens her eyes. I can see relief in her teary silver eyes. Silver eyes? Silver hair? How rare. She looks down at herself, realizing her situation. Cute, I unconsciously thought after seeing her eyes become wide open and her face become red as a beetroot. She tried to use her wings with her full force and run outside, but unfortunately, in her eyes, it was slow as a falling feather. Her wings look like those of a devil, but she has 4 of them. She doesn't look like a devil at all. She gives a similar feeling to Essel. Thinking of Essel, I don't know how she is doing. My liege, do you need me to catch her? Oh, Baru, can't you understand? She is like this, because of you. If you go after her, it will only make the situation worse. Leave her be. If she comes here on a planet like this, then she must have an objective. She will be back. At least she should have told me her name. I don't even know her name. Well, I guess I will ask her again when she comes back. I guess I have to wait until she calms down. After that, maybe I should go to her planet where civilization exists. At first, when I made this demand to live here in isolation, I thought it was good to master Ashborn powers where nobody can get affected. Also, I don't want to cause trouble for people. At first, I thought it would be easy to live alone with my shadows, but I was wrong. It's nothing more than mental torture. If not for my shadows, I would have gone crazy by now. I tried to leave this planet, but even the nearby planets are in much worse condition than the one I am currently on. So without knowing where to go, I decided to return back here. Maybe now I can leave this place for a civilized planet. Even though I don't need to eat now, I still want to taste delicious delicacies. Moreover, if possible, I check back on my Earth. I still can't figure out how she appeared here. Her strength is too weak to survive in a place like this. Or maybe her race is adapted to this environment. Whatever the reason, it's good to see another living being again. I hope she can come soon, erase her embarrassment, and talk to me. Ruler said there is a similar planet to my Earth. Maybe I should find that planet. Oh, she is coming back. I should try my best not to scare her this time. Nobody will come out without permission. I inwardly commanded my shadows. I don't want to scare her like before. After all, I am getting nervous to meet another living being after so long. Graia, POV. How can I do that? How? It's so embarrassing. I now just want to dig a hole and bury myself. I seriously peed myself in front of him. I don't have the courage to face him again. If others come to know that I, the ultimate class devil, have peed myself, I will definitely become a laughingstock in the underworld. I saw when I ran away from inside at my full strength, I saw him laugh at me. I am sure he is still laughing at me. But what was that thing? I am still getting goosebumps even remembering him. Hey system, answer me. What was that? Even though I faced death every day without fear, still it's nothing compared to that thing. That thing is a freaking nightmare. That was the third strongest shadow of the Shadow Monarch, also known as Baru. Baru? Seriously, what kind of person chooses a cute name like this for a monster like that? Well, it does look like an ant, but which ant is that big in size and has blades as claws? And third strongest? You mean he is stronger than this monster? No matter, he can be called the strongest after having subordinates like that. You are wrong. Unlike your inferior species, who mostly rely on your subordinates, you call peerage to be called the strongest. The Shadow Monarch is not like that, he is the strongest of them all. Even if all his shadows come together against him, it will remain futile. Is he really that strong? I can't sense anything from him, not even any danger. But one thing is for sure, he was super hot. You didn't sense anything from him, that doesn't mean he is weak. He has complete control over his power. He is not some arrogant being who likes to show off his power nor some coward who likes to hide. But that's also what makes him the strongest and the most dangerous. I don't understand. What are you trying to say? How can that make him dangerous? You don't need to concern yourself with that. More importantly, will you abandon this task and go back to your world, or are you continuing this task? Hearing the system's question, I don't know why, but suddenly I remembered his devilishly handsome face. Drool. Your task is to seduce him, not to get seduced by him. What kind of nonsense are you spouting? It's ridiculous to even think that I, Graia Lucifuge, the ultimate class devil, will be seduced by someone. That's right, this is only for my race, for the better and peaceful future of my kind. It's definitely not related because of his looks. Yes, it's only for my home. But what should I do now? All my dignity and pride are all shredded into pieces. I am sure he must think I am a woman who still cries and pees herself. How shameful is that? I already told you not to have many useless thoughts. Just go and introduce yourself first. This is your first step. Can't you understand a girl's shame? Sigh, you are right, what's done is done. I should focus on what's going to happen. That's right, even though my first appearance was not good, I can still change his opinion of my appearance. I should get ready. Wait, why does my bottom feel wet? Damn it, of course, this is the result of my previous deed. System, do you have new clothes for me? I inwardly asked this to the system. After all, I can't be in front of him in these clothes. System? Why didn't the system reply? System, seriously, I need to change clothes before meeting him. Don't you also want me to have success in this task? Fine, have it your way then. Subtask, find Shadow Monarch in Voltron Planet in the Ashenfall Realm and introduce yourself. Find Shadow Monarch in Voltron Planet in Ashenfall Realm. Status, completed. Reward, Maid outfit, full set, X1. Looking at my hand where suddenly a rectangular box appeared out of nowhere. How did the system do it? I didn't feel any mana fluctuations nor see any magic circles, it's like it just appeared. Anyway, thank you, system. I open up the box and take out the maid's uniform. What the hell is this? How can someone wear something like this? I wasn't able to control my temper as I asked in a loud voice, System. Answer me. What kind of joke is this? Why are you complaining? I give you what you asked for. But how can I wear something like that? It's too shameful, it's so indecent. And the chest part looks so indecent, and the length of the skirt is so short that anyone can see my panties. Now I am starting to get suspicious if the system is nothing more than a perverted old geezer. I give you this because it will also help you to increase your chances of success in this task. Don't you also want to succeed in the task as soon as possible? But, Sai, you are right. The original task is to seduce him, so it's normal to wear this kind of dress. But still, it is very unacceptable for me to wear anything like this. Don't be too willful. Just go and wear this if you want to increase your chances of success. Alright, I guess I don't have much of a choice. This is all for my home. First, I need to create some space where I can change. Even though I know there is no one here except for him in the castle and his so-called army, which I haven't seen yet other than that thing, I still don't want to change in such an open place. I use ice magic to create a small room enough to change myself as I walked inside that room. Graia, POV. After changing, I use my ice magic to create an ice mirror to see myself. How shameful. Looking at myself, that was the first thing that comes into my mind. My big chest, my hips, everything looks so indecent. The system gave me a maid dress with a tight-length black skirt, white stockings, and a garter belt. The chest area has 2 pieces of cloth holding my overly large breasts, with an ample visage of her cleavage. The side of my boobs is shamelessly exposed in a round shape. As a cherry on top, a delicate black lace wraps around my neck. Strangely, even though this shameful attire looks so tight, I don't feel any discomfort. In fact, it's the opposite, it's very comfortable. But even if it's comfortable, I don't want to wear such shameful attire. It's only for a better future for my family and race. If you are ready, then get going. You already wasted too much time. Can't you give me a little more time to get ready myself after you gave me such shameful attire? I need some time to adjust my mood. Okay, Graia, you just need to relax. Remember the teachings of Mother. A perfect maid should be calm all the time. Deep breath. Alright, now I am ready. Just be natural. I muttered to myself, just to encourage myself. But what should I do with my old clothes? I don't have anything to store them. Don't worry. I can store them for you. Suddenly, the old clothes that were laying on the ground disappear into thin air. That's very convenient. Now focus on maintaining my expression. I need to maintain a neutral face. But if that thing is still there, can I still maintain my emotions? That thing is a nightmare. I had never seen anything like that thing before. System, can't you help me somehow? Negative. If I help you somehow, then the Shadow Monarch will be able to discover my existence, and that's the last thing my creator wants. I guess that much on my own. Can't you help me in some other way, like giving some protection spell or some teleportation spell, just in case of emergency? That's your unnecessary worry. The only thing you need to do now is conquer your fear. You need to know that the Shadow Monarch is not an unreasonable person who kills without reason. Nor will he let his subordinate kill someone innocent. The only thing holding you down now is your fear. It's easier said than done, and I can't leave my life in the hands of some stranger, even if he is a little hot. But one thing is weird. Whenever I thought of him, my face started to heat up, and my heart started to pound faster. Is this some kind of power he possesses? I slapped both my cheeks and tried to encourage myself as I started talking to my reflection in the mirror. Wake up, Graia. Remember, you are the eldest lady of the Lucifuge house. How can you back down just because of some fear? I can do this. Come on, Graia, be brave. Let's do this. I exited this cave, which I built with ice, and flew towards the castle again. System wished me luck. I at least want someone to support me. After all, it always feels good to know that someone is supporting you. I hope for your success, Graia Lucifuge. After reaching the castle again, I walked in with a neutral face like a perfect professional maid. In between the way, I made a perfect plan to conquer the heart of the Shadow Monarch. I need to become his maid. After all, I can't directly say I come to seduce you, otherwise, he will definitely think I have some ulterior motive. So, I need to just become his maid and stay close to him, and slowly, but steadily, capture his heart. Soon, I reached the main hall where I had my previous shameful accident. He is still sitting on the throne, like an aloof king, looking down on earth. But he still looks so hot. Calm down, calm down. I need to maintain my composure. Don't get panic. Don't show panic. Be a professional, natural maid. Sir, Shadow Monarch, please allow me to become your maid. I introduced myself while bowing a little, like a professional maid, even with this shameful attire. I have finally done it. And I have done this perfectly without showing any panic or any other emotion. I also noticed something. The place where I have previously done that shameful deed is now clean, without any spot. Also, that thing is nowhere to be seen. That's very good. I see him getting up from his throne, coming down towards me. Why does my heart again start to beat violently? Why does my face start to heat up again? No, 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 no. Graia, focus. You need to control yourself. Previously, I could only see his face from below, but now I can see his whole figure. Not only his face, but his whole body is perfect. His sharp facial features, his short black hair. Even though he is wearing a black long coat, I can still tell his body is perfect. His height is a little taller than mine. He probably will be 5 feet 10 inches, since mine is 5 feet 8 inches. The only weird thing is his left hand is covered in some black bandage. His eyes are a little glowing purple, giving him a sexy look. As I thought, he is really a devilishly handsome man. No, 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 Graia, you need to control yourself. No matter what another's appearance looks like, a perfect maid doesn't show emotions. I need to act like a perfect maid. What are you? His voice entered my ears like a melody. Don't panic, don't panic. I just need to answer the question naturally. I raised my head, looked directly into his eyes, and as I spoke, Shadow Monarch, sir, my name is Graia Lucifuge. I am a devil, and I would like to become your maid. Jean Wu's POV. Looking directly at her calm silver eyes, I couldn't help but feel surprised. It wasn't just her appearance, but her aura too. I wouldn't have thought she is the same person who was peeing and crying before, the one I made Baru clean the floor for. Now, she exudes composure and calmness. And what's up with this dress? I previously thought her attire was weird, but I was wrong. If someone from my Earth were present, they would probably lust over her after seeing her in this. Unfortunately, or fortunately, because of Ashborn powers, I nearly lost my emotions, and time also played a big role in that. Shadow Monarch, sir, my name is Graia Lucifuge. I am a devil, and I would like to become your maid, she introduced herself, stating her purpose. A devil? Even though I anticipated that, it's still hard to believe that a girl like her is a devil. Also, how does she know who I am? Probably she is sent by the rulers since they are the ones who know my location, but I am not sure. And what's this about becoming my maid? I don't need a maid since all the work here is done by my shadows. Okay, I agreed since I finally have a living person here besides me. I am not letting this chance slip away. As for her purpose, I can figure that out over time, and I will get information about this universe from her. I am also interested in her race, which she called devil. As for the probability of her hurting me, it's near zero with her strength, so I don't need to worry about that. Huh. She has a stupefied expression on her face. How cute. I guess she didn't expect me to agree so easily. But soon, her face returned to neutral, or she is trying to hide her expressions. So then, what are your orders, sir? She asked this as she looks towards me. Orders? Right, she is my maid, but I don't have any orders for her. Everything is already managed by my shadows. I never had a maid before. You can call me Jean, I said. Hearing sir feels weird. I am already tired of hearing my liege from my shadows, especially from Baru. I don't need another one like them. Sir, I am afraid I can't accept that order, she said this, with a little shattering. I guess she must be a little afraid of me. Reason? I am more interested in her reason for refusing such a simple request. It's the teachings of Lucifuge household that maids can't call their master by his name. She speaks this while lowering her head as if something is wrong. If you don't call me by my name, then sorry, I can't accept you, maid, I said while looking directly into her silver eyes. And no. Oh yeah, I remember that a perfect maid should follow her master's orders unconditionally. A small smile formed on my face hearing her change of tone. But from her panicked tone, now I am sure she has some other objective, and to achieve that objective, she has become my maid. Well, to be honest, even if she leaves, I will still stop her since she is the only hope for me to reach civilization. Then, what are your orders, Jean? She asked. Finally using my name. Finally, someone called me by my name after so long. But what should I make her do? I don't know. Maybe spar with her to get some idea about the strength of people who belong to this universe, since rulers told me this universe is a lot stronger than my Earth. I want to test it myself. I can fight without Ashborn power since it will also help me to test my martial arts against others besides my shadows. But before that, I look at her as I speak. You can start by cooking. Even though I don't need to eat, I still want to taste delicious dishes. Not to mention, none of my shadows can cook. So, in the beginning, I cooked the food myself, but as time passed, I got tired of my own cooking, so I quit. Since she got teachings from some household, then she must know how to cook. I can only hope she can make something that can satisfy my taste buds. She nodded her head as she started to look around, searching for something. After a while, she came back to me and asked, "Where is the kitchen, Jean?" Oh yeah, I forgot to tell her where the kitchen is. I started to walk as I spoke. Follow me. As I started to walk, when Baru and others made this castle by the scrap they found on this planet, there was nothing but a throne in this castle. Afterwards, I used my power to create what I needed, as well as decorations and furniture for this castle. But the sad thing is that my power is only limited to creating non-living things. Well, I guess it makes sense since my power belongs to the dead. The kitchen is at the back of the throne room, so it takes a few minutes to reach the kitchen. It's neat, clean, and tidy, even though I didn't visit this place for so long. I guess Baru and others are doing their job properly. But there isn't a single ingredient left here. I guess I can fix that. Graia, POV. Today is the weirdest day of my life. First, I was taken from my home to some isolated planet with the task of conquering another person's heart. I thought this day couldn't get any weirder, but I was wrong. Because this day is getting weirder by every minute. I still couldn't believe how easily he agreed to let me become his maid. Is he not cautious about me fooling him, or is he too confident in himself, believing nothing can hurt him? Whatever the reason, I am glad I was able to become his maid. But when I asked him for his first order, he asked to be called Jean, which caught me off guard. I guess it must be his name or some nickname, but the problem is, I don't know whether to accept or deny his order, because a perfect maid can't call her master by his name. Even if I am a maid in name, I still need to perform like a perfect maid. When I tried to refuse him, he told me to leave. I panicky agreed to his request while putting the perfect image of a maid in the back of my brain. Since I don't think he was lying, after all, he's got no reason to lie to me, being the strongest guy according to the system. Leaving is not an option. After all, the peace of my family and race depends on this task. I can't quit. It's definitely not because he is hot. But still, I can't understand why he wants me to call him by his name. Could it be he likes me? Even though I don't want to brag, I know how exceptionally beautiful I am. Even back in the underworld, other women look at me with envious eyes, and all the men look at me with eyes full of lust. Even when I first met Sir's Gremory, he was not exceptional either. So if he really likes me, why can't I feel any lust from him? Could it be he fell in love with me at first sight? It's the only possibility I can possibly imagine, and it's reasonable based on my appearance. But why do I feel happy after thinking of that possibility? Wait, that doesn't mean I completed the task. Isn't this mean I have completed my task? If I completed my task, that doesn't mean my race and my family are at peace. Before coming to any conclusion, I advise you to check your stats first. Loading stats. Name, Graia Lucifuge. Gender, female. Titles, Traitorous Devil, Ice Queen. Age, 118 years old. Race, Peak Devil. Evolution, Ultimate Class, 2nd Tier. Strength, E+. Magic Power, D-. Shadow Monarch Affection, 4%, Acquaintance. What? Only 4%? How is this so low? System, are you sure you aren't making any mistakes? Since I also have doubts about the evaluation of my strength and magic too. I advise you to not doubt the ability of the system. The system doesn't make any mistakes like this. Really? Then how can you explain his low affection? His affection is reasonable. He is not someone who you can make love you just by appearance. So, you need to work hard to raise his affection and then conquer his heart. Is that so? I guess it makes sense since if he can be conquered by appearance alone, then probably he wouldn't be the strongest guy out there. His second order was to cook. I sighed in relief after hearing this, as cooking is something I take pride in. Right now, I am following my master, I mean Jean. Now, I look carefully at the castle from the inside. The castle looks beautiful, walls are decorated, the floor is clean, walls are clean. The only thing I feel weird right now is, where the hell is his army? I have heard a lot about his army from the system, but I haven't seen anyone except that thing, Baru. When I was about to ask the system, we already arrived at the kitchen. The kitchen is tidy and clean, and it looks like a normal kitchen back in my home, but the only thing is, the whole kitchen doesn't have even a single ingredient. Here, I heard his words as I turned towards him. I saw him raising his hand. Suddenly, from his hand, a dark aura started to leak, slowly covering the whole empty shelf. Seeing that aura, I couldn't help but get goosebumps. My instincts are screaming to not even go near that black aura. It's much more dangerous than Baru. I could only freeze in fear. Fortunately, after a few seconds, the aura disappeared, leaving behind a shelf full of ingredients. My eyes almost popped out because of the shock of what I witnessed. After all, he created something out of nothing. But how is this possible? How did he do that? System, do you know anything? Shadow Monarch has the ability to create anything from nothingness, but this ability is limited to non-living things only. Hearing the system's reply, I couldn't help but be dumbfounded. Even though he can't create anything living, even then, this ability has many uses, which makes this ability already overpowered. Is this enough? He asked the question while looking at me with a look like what he just did is an everyday thing. I unconsciously nodded my head and walked towards the shelf, carefully grabbing one ingredient and checking it. Amazing, it looks exactly like the original and fresh. Jean, can you go outside and wait for the food to get ready? I speak as I look towards him. After all, I don't want anyone to watch me at my back as I cook. He nodded his head and went outside. Seeing this, I sighed in relief. Still, he is not worried about me poisoning the food. He is too careless, or should I say, he is too confident in himself. Whatever the reason is, for now, I only need to focus on cooking and give my best. Jingwoo's POV. Right now, I am sitting at the dining table, looking at the delicious dishes in front of me. I couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. These dishes are similar to high-class dishes from my previous homeworld. I can't wait to try them out. I slowly take the fork and spoon and take a bite. So delicious. After putting the piece of meat inside my mouth, it feels like it's melting, so juicy and perfectly cooked. I couldn't help it anymore as I started to eat all the dishes faster. When I look towards my new maid, Graia, she's just standing there motionlessly, watching me. Come sit and eat with me, I said this while I continued to eat slowly, since I can't eat peacefully when someone is staring at me. Eating together also makes the meal more delicious. But that's an order. I cut off her sentence before she can complete it, since I already witnessed how dedicated she is in her role. I saw her troubled face, but she still slowly came and sat opposite to me. The dining table is the same as my dining table back at my home, which is a normal dining table with 4 chairs. She sat opposite me and then started eating slowly but with etiquette. I guess she must be from some high-class family. Tell me about your devil race, I asked this since I want to know more about this devil race. Are they any different from the devil I encountered in that dungeon? I saw her troubled look, but after a few seconds, she started to speak. Devils are beings that originated from the underworld, created by the original Lucifer using the body of his wife Lilith, in order to create a military force to destroy God and his angels, as well as to realize his personal ambition for world domination. It consists of the high-class devil nobles of the 72 pillars and extra demons, and the countless armies of middle and low-class devil soldiers under them. The total lifespan of a devil is approximately 10,000 years. I see. From her words, devils are following old-time traditions, where your position will be decided by your birth. There are also angels and so-called gods. Still, world domination? I guess a typical demon king, well, at least better than destroying the world. What about your household? I asked while looking straight into her silver eyes, since I remember her mentioning her family name before, so I guess she must be from a high-ranking family. I saw a somewhat depressed look in her eyes, and finally, she slowly opened up her mouth. Lucifuge clan is one of the extra demon clans that had served the Lucifer clan for generations. The Lucifuge clan is highly respected among the other devil clans for its closeness to the Lucifer clan, as that gave them high authority. In the aftermath of the original Satan's deaths, the clan was led by Lord Lucifuge, who managed the internal affairs of the underworld alongside the members of the Beelzebub clan, due to the refusal of Rizavim Levon Lucifer, the son of Lucifer, to take command of the underworld. The heir of the clan was his daughter, which is me, Graia Lucifuge. So much complicated stuff. I'd rather not get involved in it. But from her complicated explanation, I only understand that she is the heir of some important clan. Then why are you a maid like this? This is a question that has been bothering me for a while, because if she is really some kind of big shot, then there is no reason for her to be a maid. Can I not answer that question? I saw her troubled red face, so I nodded my head, understanding her situation. Maybe it's something personal. If she doesn't want to tell, then I will naturally not force her. In your world, are there any humans? I really want to know if there are any humans in her world. That means the world she is talking about is the same world that the ruler was talking about. Yes, but they are the weakest compared to other races. The only thing noticeable in humans is their large population. Other than that, there are also a few humans who are able to use magic. But they all are hidden from normal people's eyes. There are also humans born with sacred gears. Sacred gears? Are they some kind of artifacts or something else? Anyway, I can guess from her words that all this supernatural stuff is hidden from normal people's eyes. The original God of the Bible created the sacred gears as part of his system to enact miracles on earth. These certain individuals with sacred gears have grown to become very powerful and influential, and a large number of the people who've had their names etched into history were most likely sacred gear possessors. Sacred gears vary from common to rare, with the only exception being the Longinus, which are all unique in their way. If a sacred gear is removed from the owner, they would die. Humans or human hybrids are the only species able to be born with sacred gears. However, they maintain them upon their reincarnation into devils and angels. The fallen angels from Grigori devised a ritual able to extract a sacred gear from the original owner and use it for themselves. This results in the death of the original owner. It is possible for a person to own more than one sacred gear at the same time. However, this almost always happens because the individual comes to a second or even more sacred gear through irregular circumstances than through birth. Jean Wu's POV. That doesn't mean humans are nothing more than pigs meant to be slaughtered between these races. Sure enough, whatever world that is strong always tormented the weak. Tell me more about this reincarnation. I feel my blood boiling thinking about humans who turn into devils just because they were born with powers. We use thing called evil pieces to reincarnate them into devils. I saw her pale face while she is trembling and telling this with shuddering. Damn it. I didn't notice my aura started to leak because of the sudden fluctuation in my emotion. And here I thought I had managed to control my emotions completely. I should calm down, take a deep breath, calm down. Sorry for this. Tell me about these evil pieces, I asked as I retreated my leaking aura back into my body. She looked scared but still nodded her head as she started speaking. The evil pieces, also known as the devil's pieces, are a set of 15 chess pieces given to top-class devils to increase their ranks by reincarnating other beings into devils. It can also reincarnate other races into devils? I asked, since if this is possible, doesn't that mean devils have the power to change every race into devils? She nodded her head as she continued, evil pieces are commonly given to pure-blooded high-class devils so that they can gather servants of their own. Reincarnated devils are also given the chance to receive evil pieces should they rise in rank and become a high-class or ultimate-class devil. When a devil receives the right to obtain the evil pieces, they are required to go to the Satan's territory and touch a monument which functions as a replacement king piece to register themselves as king. Reincarnation abilities of the evil pieces, however, are not absolute, as they cannot reincarnate gods/Buddhas and dragon gods into devils, even with a mutation piece. The evil pieces can only reincarnate those who died recently. The strengths, talents, and skills of the being to be reincarnated play a large role in determining how many pieces will be used for reincarnation. Different evil pieces cannot be used together. Evil pieces can also be exchanged between top-class devils with peerage. Queens are worth 9 pawns. Queens possess all the characteristics of rooks, knights, and bishops, making them the most balanced piece as well as the most powerful. Rooks are worth 5 pawns. Rooks gain superhuman strength, leading to high offense and defense. However, they are not very quick and can get beaten easily by a high-speed opponent. Bishops are worth 3 pawns. Bishops gain enhanced magical abilities, which they can use to conjure up a multitude of spells, offensive, healing, etc. However, more powerful spells consume most of their magical power, which takes a long time to regain, forcing them to use their power carefully or risk becoming vulnerable to physical attacks. Knights are worth 3 pawns. Knights gain increased speed and mobility, enabling them to perform high-speed attacks and maneuvers. However, their main weakness is their low defense, making them vulnerable to powerful attacks if they are not careful. Another weakness among knights is their legs. If their legs are injured, their mobility is greatly reduced. Pawns are worth 1 pawn each. The traits of pawns are the ability to promote into a queen, rook, knight, or bishop in enemy territory or with the permission of their king. Unlike the other pieces which grant special abilities, the king piece simply boosts a person's power. However, the king piece's strengthening is anywhere from 10 to 100 times more. There are restrictions to its use. 1. The user cannot already have an evil pieces, because the king's piece would overlap with their current pieces and expose them to dangers. 2. The user can potentially die if they are too strong. There are only 9 unused king pieces in existence. What kind of bullshit system is that? From what I understand, devils are just making slaves for themselves. Wait. Didn't I do the same? Actually no, I only made shadows out of my enemies. But from her words, I can understand that devils only do that for power and fame. What other power do devils possess other than this slavery? I asked this since I want to know if they can do anything themselves. Yes, all devils have enhanced physical abilities such as superhuman strength, endurance, and enhanced senses such as sight and hearing, in addition to being able to see clearly in the dark as creatures of the night. She said this as she takes out her wings for demonstration. We devils are able to fly through using our bat-like wings, which are capable of retracting into our backs as if disappearing entirely, she said. We also possess a passive ability called language, which allows normal people listening to us to hear it in the language they're most familiar with, and vice versa. Devils also have the ability to cast magic spells, having developed their own system of demonic magic powered by demonic power. High-class devils are able to gain peerages, rule over other devils depending on their family's rank and powers, and can have up to 15 servants, which are represented by each piece in a chess game. I see. As I muttered this, I continued to eat the food while silently monitoring her movements. She didn't say anything for this whole meal. She just slowly, with etiquette, ate the meal, but I can see she is scared. After the meal. It's okay, somebody else will do that, I said while commanding a shadow to do the dishes through my mind. As you wish, my liege, he responded to my call, and one of my shadow soldiers emerged from the shadow. I saw her startled when my shadow soldier came out from my shadow. I guess it must have been shocking for her. What a familiar scene. I remembered the faces of hunters when I first did this, good old times. When the shadow soldier moved towards the table as he picked up plates, Graia stepped back far from him. I walked back to the main hall as Graia quietly followed me back. We returned to the main hall. I turned around to face her. As I opened my mouth and said, "Choose any room. Rest well, then we'll talk." She nodded her head as she bowed her head and moved out of the hall. "Shall I monitor her, my liege?" Bellion's voice comes into my mind. No, I deny since I sense no malicious intent from her, but she has some other objective, that's for sure. Graia, POV. After choosing the room nearest to the main hall, I fall onto the bed. What the hell with that interrogation? I feel all the energy in my body is gone after this meal. And when I was stared at by his purple glowing eyes, I felt like I can't lie. If I lie, then I will die. But why the hell did this happen? Loading stats. Name, Graia Lucifuge. Gender, female. Titles, Traitorous Devil, Ice Queen. Age, 118 years old. Race, Peak Devil. Evolution, Ultimate Class, 2nd Tier. Strength, E+. Magic Power, D-. Shadow Monarch Affection, 2%, Acquaintance. Affection is deducted by half, why? Why was it deducted? I answered all the questions truthfully. He has some special attachment to humans, because when I mentioned about humans being weak, his affection suddenly decreases. System, answer me. Now the system is the only one who can answer these questions for me. I don't have enough authorization to answer your questions. I have a gut feeling that you will not answer these questions. At least tell me how the hell somebody double his size come out of his shadow like some horror scene? Graia asked inwardly, since I am more curious about that. His army resides in his shadow. They will respond to the call of the Shadow Monarch at any time. Isn't this mean his army is with him 24/7? This ability is super effective for surprise attacks. I couldn't help but imagine him going into an enemy base alone. Enemies surrounded him. Suddenly an army emerges from his shadow, turning the table around completely. Isn't this too overpowered an ability? But how big is his army? It shouldn't be that big. I expect it should be near 100,000 since we are talking about the strongest being in the universe. Wrong, his army consists of over 10 million soldiers ready for his call anytime in his shadow. 1 to 10 million. Are you sure it's 10 million? You're not making any mistake. How can 10 million people fit in his shadow? Not to mention managing an army of millions alone is impossible. Because of the ongoing war in the underworld, I know how difficult it is to manage an army of a few thousand, but now we are talking about millions. It's not 10 million, but more than 10 million, and his army is not your normal army, but an immortal army. They don't need anything other than Shadow Monarch power. They are completely loyal to him, no matter the order. They will follow their king blindly. Damn, isn't this make him a one-man army? What do you mean by the immortal army? Are they like Phoenix family back in the underworld? Remembering Phoenix family, which inherited powers that are equivalent to that of the legendary creature, the Firebird Phoenix. As such, their abilities reflect that of the legendary bird, where they can regenerate from almost any injuries immediately and are practically impossible to defeat. Yes, but the Shadow Monarch's army is far more superior than your Phoenix family in your world. The Shadow Army can regenerate instantly without anything. They have no weaknesses. Until the Shadow Monarch is alive, it's basically impossible to kill any Shadow Soldier in his army by normal means. Isn't this mean you have to directly face him rather than fighting his army? Still, having an immortal army at your command is amazing. That's a more difficult task since the Shadow Monarch is stronger than his army combined. Not only his strength, but his intelligence is also something which should not be underestimated. So, in simple terms, it's basically impossible to beat him. Should I be glad I only need to conquer his heart? That doesn't mean if I succeed, then I will get the best backer that I could have asked for. That's only a possibility, not certainty. Yeah, you are correct. I first need to increase his affection before coming to any conclusion, but I need to know more about him. His hobbies, favorite food, his liking. For that, I need to get closer to him, observe him. Also, I need to control my emotions more. I need to act more mature. But first, I need to take a bath to refresh, then get some sleep. Finally, some freedom from this shameful attire. I stand from the bed, and then I straight went to the bathroom, turned on the warm water to fill up the bathtub. I removed my clothes and put them into a bucket next to the sink. As I come in front of a mirror, I grab one of my overly sized breasts and couldn't help but complain, did they grow bigger again? Previously, in the underworld, I didn't like my oversized breasts even a little bit because they only get in my way of battle, not to mention, because of these, I got so many stares from men. But why doesn't he look at me like those men? It could be he likes them small? No, if that would be the case, then that entity wouldn't have chosen me. Then why doesn't he look at me that way? And why the hell do I feel disappointed? I look at myself in the mirror again. I didn't gain any fat. My figure is perfect, my curves are perfect. Then what's the problem? Let's think about it later. First, take the bath. I just want to get refreshed now. I turned off the tap and got into the bathtub. The bathtub is just enough for my body to adjust. So comfortable. So warm. Finally, some real bath. After such a tiring day, as I guessed, a bath is the best thing any being can have. But still, for someone like him, it's hard to believe that he prefers to live with just simple things. Everything in this castle is simple other than his throne and his castle structure. It's a very weird combination, but it's not bad either. After taking the bath, I throw my old clothes into the washing machine to clean. I am only left with wearing the black bra and panties which I got from the system with that Maid attire. Damn it. I didn't bring any nightwear. Wait, I didn't bring any clothes. I guess I could only ask the system, I need clothes. No, I am here to assist you for this task, not to babysit you. Then, should you give me some time to pack up my things, before you teleport me from the underworld? Now I have nothing to wear, and this is your fault. It's you who agreed to the conditions my creator offered. Don't blame your carelessness on others. Great. Now it's all my fault. Then what did you expect me to do at that time? After that entity offered me to fulfill my wish, I feel like that entity is more devil than myself. Using people's desires to fulfill their objectives is clearly a devil's way. But now I have accepted the deal, so what am I supposed to do? I brought nothing at all. I advise you to ask the Shadow Monarch. As I already told you, he can create anything which is non-living. He can surely help you. Are you freaking kidding me? Are you freaking telling me to go to him and ask him to create my clothes? I am sure if I do that, then he will surely hate me. I am freaking 100% sure my affection will go negative. I am not even sure I will be left alive after asking that. Creating something is a trivial matter to him. So your worries are unnecessary. Shut up. I am not taking your advice anymore. I quickly ran into the living room and lay on the bed, then covered my body with a blanket. I guess I only slept like this for now, but I have to do something about this. Otherwise, I will have no clothes to wear in the future. Let's rest for now. Jinwoo's POV. Approximately after 10 hours, she returned from her room. I guess she must be very tired, wearing the same maid outfit she had on the first time she came here. She quietly stands beside me without saying anything. After getting all the powers of Ashbourne, I don't need to eat or even need sleep, so most of the time was spent roaming around, sparring with my shadows, bathing, and sitting on the throne while I practiced other activities too. Right now, I am sitting on the throne. Weirdly, even though the throne is made from scraps found by Baru on this planet, it's very comfortable to sit on. It's getting awkward. Will she speak anything? Other than standing there, she is doing nothing. Let's spar, Graia. Since I already planned this, why not do it now? She flinches at my request as she opens her mouth. Jinwoo, did I do something wrong? What are you talking about? It's only a friendly match. I will only use physical strength, nothing else. Since I only want to test my techniques I have learned so far, as well as test the strength of the so-called devil. But I only have made attire, I can't fight like this, she said with a red face. Oh, okay then, tell me what kind of clothes you need for sparring? At that time, when I got all the powers of Ashbourne, I was only able to create things which are presented in the shop. But by the time I learned to create anything, the only regrettable part is that I can't create anything living. The requirements for creating anything are simple, I only need to know how does that thing look like as well as its structure. After a few seconds of thinking, she speaks, okay, but can you give me a pen and paper since it's a little bit difficult to explain? I nodded my head because it will also help me understand well, since I never created female clothes in the past. I focused on my hand and started to imagine the pen and paper. As I concentrated, both things formed in my hand. I passed these to Graia. She flinched for a moment, but, in the end, she finally took them from my hand. I guessed she didn't get used to it yet. She opened the notebook as she started to draw with the pen. After 15 minutes, she handed me back the notebook. I look at the drawing that she made in this notebook. I have to say, her drawing is very good. Even though I am no artist, I can tell this sketch is at the level of the top artists on my earth. She also wrote her sizes, that's very convenient. At least now, I can believe she is talented in some field other than cooking, but why does she also draw her underwear on this page? Does she also need to wear different underwear for fighting? Should I ask her? But shouldn't that be inappropriate? Whatever the reason is, it's nothing to do with me nor am I interested. I use my power as I thought of the drawing with fabric. As the dress and the underwear are created in my hand, I move towards her and hand her the things. She grabs them with a pure red face. I will go for preparation, she said as she ran towards the room in which she slept before. After 15 minutes, she comes back. She is now wearing the suit she requested, which is a full-body suit in black color that seems to tightly fit her body, showing off all her curves. Even though I had already seen her beauty, I couldn't help but admire her beauty in a different attire. Here's the reference. "Let's move to open space," I said as I moved forward and hugged her. "Ah." She let out a small scream, but I ignored it since this skill needs to be closed with each other to transfer together, as well as it's very hassle to explain. I activated my shadow exchange skill and exchanged with the shadow that was around the practice ground where I and my other shadow practiced. After teleporting, I looked down since I am a little worried about her being scared, as she is not used to seeing my aura. But to my surprise, her face was pure red while her eyes are tightly closed like she is expecting something. Graia's POV. "We arrived." His voice sounded in my ears, making me wake up from my stupor. My heart is beating so violently as it will burst at any moment, my mind has gone blank. Why did he suddenly hug me? Is he going to do something to me? Should I resist it? No, 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 no. It's too soon. I can't be an easy girl, but then why am I looking forward to it? Wait. Where am I? I was just standing in the hall. Did he use something similar to teleportation formation to teleport? Are you okay? As these words entered my ears, I slowly opened my eyes to see the unfamiliar place. Are you seriously asking me that? What do you think? Whose fault is this? How can you suddenly hug someone like that? I have thousands of complaints, but unfortunately, I could only bury them in my mind. I am fine. I tried my best to calm down my rapidly beating heartbeat while lowering my head, trying to hide my burning face from him. After calming down, I looked towards Jinwoo, who is standing opposite of me at a distance. "Attack me, whenever you are ready," he said as he put his hands in his coat pockets with a carefree expression. I guess I should also get ready, but should I go all out or, since he is only going to use martial arts, maybe I should start with half of my strength? Don't hold back, I guess you're right. After all, according to you, he is the strongest out there. Even though I haven't seen him doing any fighting, from my observation during this whole time, like how easily he can command those things, as well as his power to create things out of thin air, not to mention teleportation without any formation. Without a doubt, he is strong, so I guess I have to go all out from the start. First, I use ice to create a single-handed sword in my hand. As my wings come out of my back, since he will be using his fists, and it's better to be at a distance, let's start long-range attacks using my ice power. I created ice shards in the mid-air. Here gravity is the same as in the underworld, so I can use my powers without any problem. Hundreds of shards aimed at him. I tried to make ice shards smaller, sharp, and stronger as possible. After that, I launch all of them at super high speed at once. Dodging these many shards with that much speed will be impossible. I don't know how tough his skin is, but at least he will sustain some damage, and then I plan to find some opening to attack with more force. What? How is this even possible? I couldn't believe what I am seeing. He is dodging all the shards without any sign of struggling. More than that, his hands were still in the pockets of his coat, and he has a small amused smile on his face. These shards can easily penetrate any high-class devil. Even an ultimate-class devil will not be able to escape without sustaining a serious injury. For some reason, I am feeling irritated, seeing that amused smile like he is playing with some toy. I want to wipe that smile off his handsome face. If he can dodge all of that, then how about this? I use my wings at full force and quickly fly to his right side at some distance. I created an ice spear in the other hand and then threw it at him on his right side. Now his all focus should be on dodging, so he shouldn't be able to dodge the spear. When my spear is about to pierce him, he jumps one step backward, dodging the spear while he takes his right hand out of his pocket and grabs the spear when the spear is about to pass him. And then uses the spear to deflect all remaining shards, breaking them into little pieces. What? Did he have some kind of power to let him see in the future? How can he see that spear coming? Anyway, since long-range attacks are not effective, then I have no choice but to go head-on. I directly rushed towards him at full speed and slashed my swords with full strength, but he responded to my attack with the same spear he grabbed. Both of our attacks clash with each other, but after a few minutes clash, my sword got shattered into pieces. Ah! How? How did my sword shatter? While the spear in his hand is still intact, not to mention that spear was also made by me, and by now that spear's demonic energy should be finished, as the spear should have been destroyed. As for my sword, I am still providing the demonic energy to the sword, but still, my sword broke instead of that spear. Did he use some kind of enchantment to upgrade that spear? Looking at him, his face is calm like nothing is happening. Somehow his calm eyes started to scare me, but it was no time to get scared. Remember, Graia, in battle, fearing your enemy means you have already lost. Graia, you have fought many battles, you are an ultimate class devil, don't let the other party intimidate you. So stay focused. I quickly focus my demonic energy and create an ice dagger in my left hand, and as I go for the stab. When I was about to stab him, I started to lose balance. Then I realized he kicked my left leg to make me fall. Damn, what a cheap trick, but unfortunately, I have wings, so this trick is useless against me. As I tried to use my wings to gain balance in the air as well as to create some distance from him, but suddenly, I saw a big hand on my face as it pushed me backward to the ground. Slammed. Jin was POV, did I go too hard on her? Looking at her unconscious body, I couldn't help but think I might have gone too far. But this was her fault too. I thought devils have strong physiques, so I used little force. I thought that she couldn't be able to take even a little force from me. If I have to compare her to a hunter's rank, I can give her an S-rank hunter, but she depends on her ice power too much. Not to mention, her ice is too weak and slow, or maybe I am too strong. But she's got potential. I saw a little crack on the spear. Even if the spear is not made by me, I still strengthened the weapon. Maybe I should train her? Now I have never trained someone before, this should be a new experience. For a matter of fact, I don't have any shadow with ice ability. But first, I need to heal her, so Baru, heal her. Right away, my liege. Baru emerges from my shadow and starts healing her. Even though I can also heal her, in terms of healing, Baru is superior to me. After Baru finished the healing, I ordered him to return back into my shadow. I walked towards her unconscious body. Oh, devils also have red blood, that's a new thing to know. I bent down and picked her up in a princess carry, then used shadow exchange and teleported back to the castle. I carried her to the room she chose before and put her down on the bed. I don't know how much time it will take her to regain consciousness, but looking at her sleeping beautiful face, I couldn't help but wonder, are all devils that good-looking? I look at myself in the mirror, which is near the bed. Can I also be considered good-looking? After absorbing Ashbourne's powers, my appearance will always be at its peak, no matter how much time passes. But still, I never know if I am good-looking or not because I only focused on my family. Anyway, I should go now. I returned to the main hall when I already called out Baru, Belian, and Igris. I sat on the throne while I looked towards three of them as I asked, "What do you think about that information she gave us?" Even though I have my own plans, I still want to know their own thoughts since I already considered them family. My liege, from her words, I can ensure she is from the same planet that the rulers were talking about, Belian speaks as he looks up at me. How are you so sure? I asked. Belian, even though he is the strongest general in my army, he is also the one I know very little about. In the past, before meeting you, I tried to gather knowledge about many planets with different life forms. Even though I never visited this planet myself before, from her words, I can be sure she is from the same planet that rulers were talking about, he said with pride. Then tell me about your thoughts about that planet. Even though I learned about that planet from her, I still want to know what they thought about it. As the ruler said, that world is the same as your previous world but with the species they called themselves devils, angels, fallen angels, gods, dragons, and fallen angels. I also remember her mentioning this too, but gods, are they really exist? Even though I never believed in gods before, after knowing that they exist, I couldn't help but become curious if they really are the same as told. Tell me about these gods? I asked, wanting to know if they are strong as they are said. If they are really strong, then I rather train here for a little longer to become strong enough to protect myself. I don't know about their nature. According to my knowledge, they are nothing but beings with little control over certain concepts. Even though I never encountered such beings myself, I can assure my liege that they are no threat to you. How can you be so sure? If you never encountered them yourself, still, I need to know what others think about this. Igris and Baru, what do both of you think? I asked, looking towards them who were still kneeling. My liege, if that world is similar to your previous world, then there should be K-drama in that world too? Baru asked this with a very serious tone. Psych, good boy. Even after passing so much time, he is still hooked on K-drama. I can even see the anticipation in his eyes. Probably, but looking at him who is eagerly waiting for an answer, I couldn't able to refuse him. Then, my liege, we should go and show them your might. He said this while raising his fist upwards. You don't need to do that much drama just so that you can get the chance to watch K-drama again. My liege. I also suggest if we can, then we should go to another place, Igris also said, who is kneeling between Belian and Baru. As he continues, my liege, you can't grow any longer in this world. You need to go to another world and experience new things to grow. He is not wrong. I have learned all the things I can learn, have control over all of my powers, as well as have created new techniques. I guess it's really time to move on to a different world, but the real question is if she can really bring us back to her home world. Otherwise, I need to use other methods to go to the different world, which I personally don't want to use. Should I also go to search for rulers in this universe? After all, I need to check on my home world too. Graia's POV. What? Where am I? Where is this? Isn't this my room in the castle? How did I appear here? I was sparring with him. All I remembered was something grabbing my face as I was pushed backward on the ground. Then suddenly, I blacked out. System, do you know what happened? You were slammed on the ground by him and passed out. Seriously. Now I think about it, the thing that grabbed my face was a hand. But isn't this too much? This is nothing but bullying. Even though I fought many battles before, this is definitely the most humiliating defeat in my life. And can't he be more considerate? How can he do that, slamming a girl into the ground without any mercy? He must believe in gender equality. Gender equality, my ass. Didn't he say he will go easy on me? This is what his easy looks like. Now I am sure he must be holding a grudge for a thing I didn't even know about. But how did I appear here? And what happened to my injuries? After you passed, he healed you and carried you back here. Really? Humph. I guess he has some conscience left after what he has done. But still, am I really that weak? This feeling of helplessness when I was fighting him is like back then in the underworld. Especially looking at his calm purple glowing eyes, like I am not worth anything. I feel goosebumps remembering those eyes. By the way, system, how much time has passed since I passed out? I don't know how much time has passed, since here is always dark, I can't able to tell when it's night and when it's day. It should be near 3 hours since you were unconscious. That much time? I guess he knocked me out pretty hard. I need to get up to attend Jinwoo right away. Even though it's only to complete my task, still, he is my current master, and as a maid who can't even attend her master is simply a disgrace. I quickly get up from the bed and run into the bathroom to take a quick bath since I can still smell the sweat from the suit I am wearing. Bathing is always refreshing. After taking the bath, I quickly returned to my maid attire. Before going out, show me my stats. Loading stats. Name, Graia Lucifuge. Gender, female. Titles, Traitorous Devil, Ice Queen. Age, 118 years old. Race, Peak Devil. Evolution, Ultimate Class, 2nd Tier. Strength, E+. Magic Power, D-. Shadow Monarch Affection, 4%, Acquaintance. Affection increases? Is he sadistic? After beating me, his affection suddenly increases. Will I be okay with a man like him? Alright, I have decided. After making him fall in love with me, I will change his fetish. After all, I don't want my love life to be with a guy who is sadistic in the future. For that, I need to make him fall in love first. As I quickly go outside to find him, I see him still sitting on the throne with some lost expression, like he is thinking of something deeply. His eyes are shut. I quickly go and stand beside him. Are you okay? His concerned voice enters my ears. I couldn't help but wonder if he really worries about me. Yes. Even though I have thousands of complaints to throw at him, I can't do that, right? Not only will I lose the chance to save my race, but I will also lose my life. You have potential, he said this with his eyes closed. Is this his way of mocking others? Maybe beating wasn't enough for him. Now he must be mocking me. Thank you. I replied in an emotionless tone. I have to tolerate him for the sake of saving my home and race. Graia, remember, don't get angry, but the way you use your power is too simple. What is he talking about? Simple? With this simple way, I won many battles. Your physical strength is so weak. Isn't it me who is physically weak, but it's you who are too strong? Your attacks and techniques are too simple. Why the hell is he pointing out these things? Is he enjoying doing this? But what the hell? He has more to say. Don't you already have enough? You ruthless bastard. But you have the potential to become much stronger than your current self. Did he just compliment me? Or is he serious? I can't tell at all from his stoic face. How? If he is serious, then I really want to become stronger. Not only for myself, but for my people and my family. I will train you. Really? Is he serious, or does he just want to torture me to satisfy his sadistic desires? If he really means what he says, then I will do it. No matter the torture, I will endure it. In exchange, tell me all about your world, everything. That's it? I thought he will demand something exclusive, but again, if he wants anything, nobody can stop him. Then please, I will be grateful. I will use this chance to get closer to him. As well as I will become strong. This is a win-win situation for me. Gene nodded his head as he speaks. In every 24 hours, run 100 kilometers, 1,000 push-ups, 1,000 squats, 1,000 sit-ups. That's it? That's basically a normal exercise schedule. Is this really going to help me become stronger, or is he just messing around? I couldn't help but cast a suspicious gaze towards him. Then I see him using his power to create something in his hand. After a few seconds, he opened his hands. A black bracelet? Here, wear this from now on, he said as he passed that bracelet to me. Alright, but why? Well, he must have a reason for it. I guess maybe some kind of device to help me with training. Graia's POV. As I put the bracelet on my wrist, ARGHH. What the hell is this? It feels like a mountain fell on my back. I couldn't help but fall on my knees while taking support from my hands on the ground. It feels like my body is going to get crushed. This bracelet will increase your gravity by 50 more times, and you can't take it off without my permission. He is telling me this now. Damn it, I can't take this thing off. He means that I have to wear this while doing that exercise. Is he insane? Or does he want me to die by getting crushed? This will help you to improve your physical strength as well as your willpower, He said this as he again uses his power to create something in his hand. Did he have more to add? Isn't this enough already? Does he need to make it harder? I was correct about him before, he is a damn sadist. Here, this will help you tell the rotation of 24 hours, he said as he placed that thing on the ground. A sand clock? Sigh, at least this is something normal, but still, I can't stand up on my legs. With this thing, doing that kind of exercise is impossible. /n If any of you don't know what a sand clock is like me, then here is an example. You have to do at least this much to become strong, he said as he stood up and started to walk away without giving me a second look. Damn it, he said he will help me become strong. Why am I getting depressed already? If I have strength as he does, then my family and any innocent people won't have to suffer like that. I gritted my teeth, used all of my willpower, and slowly stood up with trembling legs. Slowly, picked up the sand clock. I have to say, even though his creativity is good, even this sand clock looks more beautiful than every sand clock I have ever seen in the underworld. Firstly, I need to adjust myself to this weight, but it's easier said than done. Every step is much more difficult than the previous. If this goes on, then I doubt I will be alive. System, can you do something about this? If the system can change my body to adapt according to this planet's environment, then maybe the system can also help me to adapt to this too. I can't. If I interfere, then I will be exposed, as well as this is for your own sake too. Do you want me to die? I feel like at any second I will be crushed to death, and yet you are telling me this is for my sake. Fine. If you don't want to help, then I will endure this myself, and I will be sure to survive and become stronger so that I will never be in this situation to ask for others' help. Ha, ha, ha. I gasped for air as I fell to the ground from exhaustion. My ice sword fell from my hand. You have improved, Jinwoo comes from as he comes near me and handed me a water bottle. I took it, opened it, and drank it. Phew, refreshing, finally some energy. It's been 5 months since I started this training. At the start, I felt like dying, but after a month, I started to get the hang of it. After 2 months of nothing but physical exercise, just when I started to think I was starting to get the hang of it, Jinwoo suddenly said he will start sparring with me to improve my techniques as well as to harness my battle instincts. In the name of sparring, he continues to torture me. But I can see changes. I can see improvements. And for the last month, he is making me fight his shadow soldiers, which I saw in the kitchen. Thankfully, it was not that ant. Even though, at the beginning, I was a little afraid of it, but after days, I get used to it. Even though he said these soldiers are the weakest, still, their regeneration ability is simply unfair. No matter what damage I do, they will regenerate in milliseconds. But still, by the time I was able to fight that shadow without taking any damage. But still, what's the point of defeating an enemy which you can't kill? Even though that shadow was his weakest shadow, it was able to fight me on equal grounds. /n If any of you are thinking I make Graia nerfed, then hold your horses. After Jinwoo gets all the power from Ashbourne, his shadow soldiers also got a big power up, so don't say I am being unfair to Graia. After all, Jinwoo is very up already with his shadows. I still can't help but think if his weakest soldier is equal to an ultimate class devil, then what will be the power of his other shadow soldiers, especially his generals? The only sad thing is even though I have become stronger than before, still, I can't even able to touch Jinwoo no matter how hard I try, no matter which technique I used on him. He seems to already see through my every move, even without breaking a sweat. As for the good news, my relationship with Jinwoo has increased to friendship. Loading stats. Name, Graia Lucifuge. Gender, female. Titles, Traitorous Devil, Ice Queen. Age, 118 years old. Race, Peak Devil. Evolution, Ultimate Class, 2nd Tier. Strength, A. Magic Power, C+. Shadow Monarch Affection, 14%, Friendship. During this time together with him, not only I trained but also I got a better understanding of him. He is not someone I at the beginning imagined, but for someone who is called the strongest being in the multiverse, he is rather an easygoing guy if you get to know him. I can even understand his emotions, to some extent. Even though his face looked stoic, after observing carefully, I was able to see some small changes in his facial expression. My strength also got a huge increase for me to a straight A. I guess it's all thanks to the sparring and physical exercises, which I am doing for these months, continuously. Even though at the beginning I want to quit, but I am very glad that I endured it, and because of that tendency, I have become stronger now. Not only my strength, but my magic power is also increased from D to C. Not as my strength, but still there is some improvement. This is already enough, considering the fact, till now I have been doing physical training only. I guess my magic power increased due to sparring, which I am doing for these last months. And as I promised, I also told him about my homeworld, which also includes my family, and in return, he also answered some of my questions. Like I got to know very important information about him, which is he has never been in a relationship or had any partner in past 5. It's hard to believe for some, like with his outstanding looks, even though inside he is an old monster, being single, without any experience. Should I feel sad for him, for being lonely, or should I be glad for myself? Another good thing happened after I won the first time without taking any hit from his shadow. I asked him to let me act like a proper maid to take care of his daily needs and chores. He agreed with some hesitation, maybe because he has some trust issues or he doesn't like others to take care of him, even though he still don't let me call him master. It is still a good start. But still, I have a long way to go before I make him fall in love. At first, I even doubt my charm, but over time I was able to understand that he sees me only as a friend, not as a love interest. I only work hard now to make him notice me as a love interest, not just as some friend. My schedule for these months is simple training, chores, cooking, and then sparing to manage the schedule. That sand clock helps me a lot. You can remove this bracelet now, he said as he pointed his finger at my wrist. Why? I already get used to it. Moreover, I like the style, and the most important thing is this bracelet is the first ever gift he gave me. It can no longer help you to increase your physical strength. Just for that reason can't he be more considered? He is dense as a black hole. Can I keep it? I like the style of this barklet, I said as I hold the wrist with my other hand on my chest. He nodded his head with the same stoic expression on his face and walked away. Even though he was stoic, I still was able to see little signs of confusion on his face. Sigh, what can I do for a guy like him? Even though I also don't have experience in love, but I am not dense as him. Let's take a bath to refresh my whole body, which is covered in sweat after this whole training section. I exited the room, which is specifically made for training him. This room has space like a hall. I straight go into my room. As I entered the bathroom, look at my face in the mirror. System, are you sure my family is okay? Even though I know what the system will reply, still I couldn't help but worry about them yet again. My response will be the same as always. My creator already said that time will be stopped until you return to your world. Still, I couldn't help but worried about them. After all, they are the only family I have in the underworld. Focus, Graia, this is all for them. You just need to complete the task, and if I completed this task and the system grants me my wish, then I will have the strongest being as my master, as well as my lover. Taking him to the underworld will solve every future problem, which I can't solve alone. Not to mention how many times he said he wants to visit my world, but I don't want to rely on others to solve my problems. That is also the reason why I am training so hard. I removed the suit I wear in training, and then removed my underwear, then unhook my bra. Dong dong. Sigh. They have grown again bigger, I guess in these months. Not only my strength grows, but my breast also shows growth. Are they grown to F-cup now? I only hope he likes them big, otherwise, I will have no chance of seducing him. Not only my breasts, but my butt has also grown too. I guess it's time to get a new set of underwear. My body has not changed other than my butt and breast. Honestly, I am very glad. If I got muscles from this physical training, I will be considered a muscle woman, which I hate the most. I get in the bathtub. Phew, I feel so much alive whenever I took a bath after the training section. I still remembered when I first time come to the place I was like for my family and my people, but now I feel this place is my second home. Moreover, I now don't want to be separated from him. So I have decided whenever I will succeed in making him fall in love with me, after that I will take him with back me, since he also wants to go into my world. After that introduced him to my family as my master as well as my lover. Sigh again. For that, I need to first make him love me, which is a difficult task itself. I should have read more romantic novels or asked more advice from my mom. But at least I got his friendship. I now just need to work hard and improve more affection, then confess directly. I am sure he will not refuse then. Graia's POV. After getting out of the bath, I came towards the closet and opened it. The sight of the closet full of clothes entered my eyes. I couldn't help but remember the time in those months when I only had those 2 sets of maid dresses. Even one of them is so indecent that I never want to wear them in public. But after a while, I wasn't able to wear the same clothes every day, and the system was not helping either. So in the end, putting all my shame and dignity into the bin, I asked him to create the clothes. He agreed to my request without blinking or asking anything about it. He just said, as same as before, to draw the designs on that same notebook. I don't know what I was thinking at the time, but I made many dresses, mainly maid dresses. Without thinking, I just drew them. In between those dresses, I also drew underwear for me to hide. At that time I just wanted to bury myself in a hole. Luckily, he just created a black ball as he passed that ball towards me and said to throw this ball in your room. At first, I was confused. I did it as he said. I was very surprised when suddenly that ball explodes, and all the clothes I drew have suddenly appeared at the place I threw that ball. I still get embarrassed thinking of that memory, but still, because of that incident, it gave me the courage to start a conversation with him. Due to that, the distance between us also shortened a lot. It also helps me to understand his personality, as well as gave me a better understanding of his character. I picked the maid dress, which is a little longer than my knees, a black bra and panties, as well as the black stockings. After getting dressed, I looked at myself in the mirror. Perfect. Feeling satisfied with my appearance, I go out of the room directly straight to the kitchen. What should I make for dinner? Maybe kimchi will be great since he also likes it. During these months, I made various dishes for him and observed his expressions to figure out his favorite one. After finishing making dinner, I set up the dining table. As I finished setting up the table, he already entered the dining hall. Even though his face doesn't show much, I can see little changes in his facial features. He sat down while I served him the meal. After serving him, I also sat down next to him. Even though this is a disrespectful act for a maid to eat with her master, but what can I do? After he forces me to eat together with him, no matter how tired to convince him, it was always futile. I can't teach you anything regarding the energy you use to create ice. In the middle of a meal, he said this as he looks towards me. Really? I couldn't help asking, since he is the first one to tell me that my way of using my ice is simple. Not to mention, he is the strongest one alive. He nodded his head as he opened his mouth to speak. Your energy is fundamentally very different, but I can only give you some ideas. Then please advise. At least it is better than nothing, not to mention I can't depend on him for everything, he already helped me enough. After the meal, he told me about some interesting ideas that I never would have imagined. Freezing liquids from the opponent's body, creating clones out of ice, creating countless mirrors out of ice to confuse the enemy. But the most outrageous one I heard is freezing time? Is that even possible? He nodded his head. Seriously? Then can I do that? Time is one of the elements which can't be controlled by anyone. If I were able to achieve such a feat, then wouldn't that make me the most powerful in the underworld? Wait, is that entity doing the same thing as Jinwoo told me? Freezing the time of my whole world or using some other method to stop the time of my world? As long as that entity wants it, I wish there is a way to communicate with that entity again to ask about this matter directly. Sadly, the system already replied that it's impossible to contact its creator until the task got complete. If there is another way to contact that entity, then I want to ask about this thing. Is there anyone capable of achieving this? Since he knows about freezing time, he should have met someone capable of doing it. I saw him nodding. I was right. At least now I know some beings are capable of achieving this. If they can, then why can't I? I don't know how much time it will take me to achieve this, but I am sure one day I will be able to achieve this. Not only because I have confidence in myself, but also because Jinwoo is the one who suggested me this. Jinwoo's POV. After telling her all the ideas that I think of, she withdraws from the dining area to her room. Even though I don't need to sleep or rest, she needs it. I also come to a room that I choose at the beginning. It's been such a long time since I came to this room again. I made this room an exact copy of the room which I had in my home world. Even though I don't need to sleep, I still occasionally sleep like a normal human to remind myself of my origin. With a snap of my fingers, my clothes change into my sleep attire, which is a simple lower and t-shirt. I lay down on the bed as I started to remember these months. I have to say these months are not bad at all. Training her to eating different delicious meals while chatting with her is definitely not a bad thing. Not to mention, the meals made by her are so delicious, as well as she can make any dish from my home world. With that, I do not doubt that she is from a similar planet to my Earth. She also exceeded my expectations of her. I thought it will take her years to get where she is now. Her ability to adapt and improve is also commendable. Not to mention her instincts in battle are also excellent. Even though I can't teach her about the energy she uses to create, since our energies are fundamentally very different, even if I tried to teach her my method then she will probably explode. So, I can only give her the ideas of that ice guy. Attacks which I fought before in my world. Honestly, I don't know if she can achieve or not, it all depends on her tendency and willpower. Since nothing is impossible, after all, once the weakest hunter can become one of the strongest beings in the multiverse. Sigh, but what's the use, if he can't even be together with my family? He doesn't even know if they are even alive or not. After all, so much time has passed. Thinking of family, I remember she also has family back in her world, which is her mother and sister. The remaining other family members died in some war. She tells me how much she loved her younger sister. Her younger sister is also very fond of her. She follows her everywhere she goes, and from what I heard, her description is like my sister when she was young. As for her mother, she describes her as a gentlewoman who is always there with them, always supporting them from behind, as well as teaching them everything possible. But she didn't tell me about her father, saying more likely to say that she doesn't want to talk about him. I guess she must have some family problems. Come to think of it, the Graia family is considered a traitor, right? Maybe I should help her somehow if possible. Even though they all are devils, they are very similar to human families. The only thing that makes them different is their appearance and power. Also, I got to know humans live in a different dimension than devils, which is a good thing in my opinion. I have decided whenever I will go to her world, I will try to live a normal life there. Since there is no one to protect humans, then I shall protect them from those who they can't fight. Come to think, she did tell me about some dragon gods named the Infinite Dragon God as well as Great Red. According to her, they are the strongest beings in her world. I also got a general idea of the power system in her world. According to her, previous strength when she first sparred with me already considered very strong among devils. If so, then I will be saved there. Let's see what the future awaits me. With all thoughts in my mind, I closed my eyes. Even though it was not a dream I see, it was better than nothing. Not to mention, it also helps me remember those tough times. After 2 hours, I opened my eyes again. Even though it was not a dream, I see, it was better than nothing. Not to mention, it also helps me remember those tough times. I looked at my left hand, which is covered with bandages. Sigh, even though I know this wound is impossible to heal, still, I hope one day this wound will heal. Some people love to keep this wound as a battle scar, but I am no battle junkie. I looked outside of the window and saw Graia running. Even though I already told her it was useless for her to continue the exercises now, she still persistently continues it. She reminds me of my younger self, fighting for her family. Her tendency of doing things as well as she will become stronger, but the difference is she is better than my younger self. Meanwhile, I was running away. She is facing everything head-on. Even though I don't know why she came here on this abandoned planet, I am sure from these months of knowing her that her reason for coming here is related to her family. Whatever her reason is, I am glad she came here. After all, if she didn't come, then how will I be able to eat those delicious dishes? Not to mention, Korean dishes made by her are simply superb. The only thing I found weird about her is her hardcore obsession with being a maid. Like her dream is to become a maid, or maid is just some respected profession in the devil race. Anyway, I am no one to judge someone. I should probably go out and give her a few pointers. This kind of work should be done by Igris, but he is too prideful and refuses to teach any outsider. Thanks for watching the video. If you want next part, then please let me know in the comments.